My name's Esther. I wasn't born a queen. I wasn't raised in a palace or taught how to wear a crown. I was a Jewish girl, an orphan, raised by my cousin Mordecai in a land that was never meant to feel like home. There were days I wondered if anyone even saw me. I was just another face in the crowd, just another girl trying to survive in a world that didn't know her name and didn't care to. But heaven knew my name, even when I didn't understand the path, even when I couldn't see his hand. God was writing a story I had not yet lived. And when the king called young women to the palace, I didn't volunteer. I was taken, chosen, not by my will, but by circumstances outside of my control. And yet, even there, even in a place filled with fear, uncertainty, and anxiety, the favor of God found me. Not because I was the most beautiful, but because God had a purpose. No one knew who I really was. I carried a secret. My people, my identity, my faith, hidden behind royal robes and silent obedience. Until the day everything changed. A decree had been written, a sentence of death, not for one person, but for an entire people. My people, men, women, children, marked for destruction. And I sat in the palace, safe, silent, removed. Mordecai sent word to me, a message I still remember as if it were carved into my soul. Don't think because you live in the king's house, you alone will escape. For if you remain silent, relief and deliverance will come from another place, and you and your father's family will perish. And who knows? But that you have come to this royal position for such a time as this. For such a time as this. I read those words again and again, and suddenly the crown felt heavier, the palace quieter, the silence louder. Because I understood something in that moment. God hadn't placed me in comfort. He had placed me in position. But it came at a cost. To go before the king uninvited was to risk death. One step inside that throne room and my life could be taken in an instant. Fear whispered, "Stay where you are. You're safe here." But faith said something louder. Because if I stay silent, I would lose everything anyway. So I sent word back. Gather my people. Fast for me. Pray for me. Because I knew this moment wasn't for strategy alone. This was a moment for surrender. And then I said the words that changed everything. I will go before the king, even if it's against the law. And if I perish, I perish. I stepped into that throne room with more than fear in my heart. I stepped in with a purpose, with a prayer, with the unseen hand of God guiding my steps. And when the king raised his scepter, I knew it was more than just mercy. It was a confirmation that God had gone before me. And what happened next wasn't instant victory, a banquet, a conversation, a moment where truth could no longer remain hidden. And when it was time, I spoke, not as a fearful girl, but as a woman who knew who she belonged to. I revealed my identity. I exposed the enemy, and God had turned what was meant for destruction into deliverance. I wasn't born a queen, but I was called for such a time as this. And you may not wear a crown like mine, but you are placed exactly where you are, not by accident, not by chance, but by divine timing. There are moments in your life where silence will feel safer, where fear will try to keep you hidden, where comfort will try to convince you to stay where you are. But there is a voice, the voice of God calling you to step forward, to stand up, to speak, to trust, because someone's breakthrough, someone's freedom, someone's deliverance could be on the other side of your obedience. And when that moment happens, when the door opens, when the risk feels real, remember this: you weren't placed there to be comfortable. You were placed there to be courageous for such a time as this.